Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of That's a Wrap. My name is Anthony Gentry, and I'm so glad you're joining me today for another jam-packed episode of movie reviews, trailer reviews, TV show reviews. I've watched a lot this last week because I wanted to give you a supersized episode for this Thanksgiving holiday, and if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. If you're not, if you're somewhere else in the world, I hope you're having a great day. Nonetheless, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Not as many trailers as last week. I think last week was like six trailers. It was a lot. Today I only have three. Not many came out this past week, but some big ones did. And then I have two movies to review. Wish and The Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and a TV show. But I'll leave that I'll leave that mystery up just for now. Just for now. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the trailers. All right. So the first one I like to talk about is called Imaginary. This is a Blumhouse movie, so that kind of tells you already where we're at. It looks like it follows this girl who has an imaginary friend who might not be imaginary, and it's a horror movie. Where, oh look, maybe it's a demon. Maybe our imaginary friends that we grew up with were never imaginary, and that there are connections to the spirit world. And then you get classic horror movie tropes of, ooh, something's behind you, jump scare, ooh, we got you with that jump scare. This trailer, I thought it looked alright. I don't want to say like it looked great or anything, because I definitely don't think it looks great or amazing, but it looks like it's doing exactly what it wants to do, which is good. I when I watched this, I was thinking, okay, so this is kind of like Coraline in a way mixed with Chucky, where you have this like other world where everything seems okay at first, and then, oh no, you wronged them, so now they're gonna turn on you. But yeah, I thought it looked okay. I'm open to it. It has potential. We'll see where that potential leads. But until then, sure. Yeah. Uh that's out March 8th. I do hope that it doesn't really rely on jump scares, because uh that would suck. I hate jump scares. And if you are watching on YouTube, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's out March 8th. Who knows? It could be good, could be bad. Moving on. The next trailer I want to talk about came out like the next day after I recorded last week's episode, and I was very mad because this is a trailer for something I've really been looking forward to, but my thoughts on the trailers have been mixed so far. I've liked one, I didn't really like the other. I had problems with one, but I'm happy to say that the newest trailer for the Percy Jackson TV series looks amazing. I cannot wait for this show. I grew up reading all the books. I think it's been a decade since I read the books in elementary school, and yet I still remember so much from it. And this trailer gave me those moments of what I remember. It, like, I could pinpoint exactly like where in the book they were taking this scene and this scene from, and it for one, it felt like a trip down memory lane, but it also felt like something new and exciting, and I'm really excited about that. It I wrote in my notes that it feels epic, like they're doing this epic tone and they're treating the source material with reverence, because it is adored by so many people all over the world. And yeah, they are kids books, but they also just have this really deep story. I mean, from what I remember of 10 years ago. But yeah, I really liked this trailer. I'm really looking forward to this. We got a Lin-Manuel Miranda jump scare, but other than that, it's great. One thing I thought was interesting, not bad, not good, was that there wasn't any use of water in this trailer. And if you know Percy Jackson, he's the son of Poseidon, which gives him these like water bending, if you will, abilities. And they didn't showcase that at all in this trailer, which I thought was interesting. They weren't resting on their laurels or the hook of the franchise. And so I thought that was cool. They relied more on these epic story beats and the song Riptide, which makes a lot of sense if you know the story and Percy's sword. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this 2 episode premiere on December 22nd, I believe, on Disney Plus. Really looking forward to that. I'm going to watch that right away. Something I may not watch right away, but I'll still see it eventually because I'll probably review it here. Coming out the exact same day, December 22nd, is the new DCEU film, not DCU, DCEU, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. It was a lighter trailer. It was one of those like tickets out now trailers, which I usually don't do, but I watched it and it gave a lot of information. And after watching it, I'm way more confused than I was the first trailer or the first 2 trailers. Because the first 2 trailers, they gave you the basic plot of, okay, Black Manta's hunting down Aquaman. He has this trident to like take control of the 7 seas or the 7 kingdoms, and Aquaman has to stop him. Cool. But in this trailer, they say, oh, Black Manta kidnapped your son. Your son is in the hands of Black Manta. Which is like, all right, that gives more stakes to the story. It gives motivation for Aquaman, which is good. But in all the other trailers, and even in this one a little bit, you still get that Jason Momoa Aquaman, I'm just having fun mood. And the tone, especially in the previous trailers when he's with his brother, he is very like surfer dude, very comedic, lighthearted. And it's like, so you know your son is kidnapped, but you're cracking jokes. It feels odd. It feels off. It doesn't. It for me. It doesn't fit tonally. Who knows? All that stuff with his brother Orm might come before all of this, and if so, everything I say, redact it. But I feel like he's gonna get his brother after finding out what Black Manta's up to. So, yeah, for me, it feels very inconsistent, and I'm wondering how they are going to work that into the movie and how they work together or how they might not work together. And it feels as weird as it does right now of, oh, you're just cracking jokes and yelling your woohoos while your infant son is in danger and could die. But that's okay. I'm just gonna relax, hang out with my brother, knock down a statue, and have a good time. But who knows? Maybe that's just me. I don't know. That comes out December 22nd. Even then, why should I even care? The DCEU's over. Like, and I don't want to say like, oh, if it's not a franchise movie, I would like don't care about something, but with this, it was made under an authority where they were clearly wanting to make more movies in this franchise and in that universe of the DCEU. But now that it's ending, it's like, well, is this going to set up future movies that will never come? And is this taking place in a larger universe that will never happen again? And in that case, why should I care? And they could have like a character arc that is solid for the most part, but even then with these big like universe movies, the character arcs happen over time over the course of multiple movies. And so having this be the very last DCEU movie, it's just why bother, you know? Why watch this? But I don't know. I'll still see it. Who knows? I might like it. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Aquaman, but maybe I'll like this one. Maybe it'll be more fun, with Aquaman's child in danger. We'll see. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about one of my 3 reviews. Count it, 3 reviews that I have for you today. The first one, it won't be a full review. It'll be partial. It is a TV show review for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. This is a new Netflix anime series um, based on Scott Pilgrim. And it has the entire, I think, almost entire voice cast or cast from the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World movie reprising their roles in animated form. And that is so cool. Edgar Wright is also producing it, so he's behind it. And it follows a new story in the Scott Pilgrim world that I really enjoyed. Now, I haven't finished the series. I've only seen 3 episodes of 8 episodes. So take what I say with a grain of salt, obviously. But I really enjoyed what I saw. The very first episode kind of acts like a remake of the movie, which I was a little disappointed by because I wanted to see something new and fresh in the Scott Pilgrim world. I wanted it to be a sort of sequel to it. And so when I got to it, I was like, oh, it's just the same thing again. That's disappointing. But then at the very end of that episode, they take a sharp turn into something wildly different from the movie, which I really like. I think it puts it in a whole new direction where I don't want to say what it is, but it brings up a lot of new questions. It allows us to follow new characters, or not new characters, but characters that may have not gotten as much development or screen time in the first movie, especially the villains. And it opens the doors for a lot of new stories. And I really liked that. Episode 2 and 3 were also very good. I think my only critique is that, especially 2 and 3, it felt like it was following the same formula of, we're going to give you a little story and then a big fight scene and then little story, and that's the end. By the way, I did not finish episode 3. I had like 8 minutes left and then I had to leave. But from what I saw, it felt like it was following the same formula. I'm hoping they break it up a little bit, because episode 3, when it started, it was more of a mystery type episode, and I was like, that's really cool. Let's figure out this mystery, follow the clues. And then it kind of dropped off to have this action scene. And the action scenes are really cool and they're very well animated, but I would like something more from it. And who knows? They might have it in future episodes. I am only at the beginning anyway. But even then, the fights are really cool. They're really stylized. They're able to do a lot more in this animated format because it is an anime. It's not burdened with live action and the logistics of having to do things real or with CGI. So they do a lot with these fight scenes, especially with the villains. They Episode 2 goes into, like, basically it's a villain episode and you're just following these guys. And it was cool. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch more. I'm not going to give a score for this one just because I haven't seen all of it. But for right now, it's a recommend. Have you seen it? Tell me about it. Did you see every episode? Did you just watch a few? Let me know. I want to know. Let's have a conversation in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, just go there, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Who knows? I'll see it. I'll like it. Thank you. Moving on. Let's go to The Hunger Games. This movie is something I've been pretty excited about the last few months, or even, yeah, I'll say months. When I first heard about it, I thought, really? We are going to get a prequel to The Hunger Games that, instead of all the interesting stories, it's going to be about the main villain when he was a teenager, and it's a love story? What? You are going to make me like the villain, or you are going to try to make me like the villain? How will that make sense? And then the trailer or the photos came out and it was like, what if Snow was hot? And it's like, all right, that's weird. I'm not sure how I like the direction you're going with this. And then as time went on, I saw the trailers and I was like, okay, I think I'm getting a sense of this. I still don't know how to feel about trying to make Snow charming, but All right. I really liked all the original Hunger Games. I haven't read any of the books, disclaimer, but I really liked the movies. So let's see what this is. It is the same director as 2 through 4, Francis Lawrence, so that's really cool. And so I walked in, um, and I gotta say, I really like this movie. It was a very good movie. Um, yeah, so I guess I'll just go right into it with Snow. One of my biggest worries was them trying to paint Snow as this tragic figure of someone who, oh, he could have been good, but because of this and that, he fell and succumbed to the dark side. Kind of maybe like an Anakin Skywalker situation, but they didn't do that. There is obviously this thing of, oh, he could have gone down a much better road and been a much better person. But the movie does a great job of showing you how evil and manipulative that Snow is and always has been, and just how well he was able to hide it as as a teenager. So for those of you who don't know, this takes place about 64 years before the original Hunger Games film and book. It's around the 10th annual Hunger Games. And the Hunger Games are not doing well. Viewership's down. They need to find a way to bring it up. And in comes Cor- Coriolanus Snow. I think I got that right. They call him Corio, so I might just call him that, or Snow. He's this up and comer, basically like a high school senior, and him and his other classmates are given this project to train and be the very first mentors to all of the Hunger Games tributes. And whoever does the best job of being a mentor gets this big prize scholarship for a college, or I forget what it was, but this big hunk of money. And Snow sees that and says, I'm going to take that opportunity because Snow, even though he's in the capital, which, if you haven't seen the Hunger Games films, is basically this oasis, great land, but only for the elites and the rich of the rich. And the rest of the country, which is kind of America, I'm pretty sure, is separated into districts, which is full of impoverished people, which happens after in the aftermath of the civil war between the capital and the districts, where the capital won, and as a punishment, they're doing the Hunger Games. Backstory over with. Snow sees this, and he, even though he's in the capital, he's lived a very impoverished life. He's very poor. So he knows what it's like to kind of be like in the district. He's kind of an outsider in the capital, but he sees this and he's like, I'm going to take that opportunity because I am capital. And he firmly believes that he belongs there. He firmly believes that it's his home, and they really show that. So along the way, he finds out that his tribute that he has to mentor is Lucy Gray Baird, played by Rachel Zegler, who also does a great job in this film. She has a country accent in the movie, which kind of bothered me at first, but as it went on, I liked it. It grew on me. It didn't bother me after the first scene. And she's from District 12, which is where Katniss from the movies were from. And she is a singer. And Snow says, "Hey, we're going to use that voice to get viewers to like you and give you money. Because if we do that, you might survive, and if you survive, I might get the prize." And so this movie, and along the way, they also form a relationship that may or may not be platonic. It might be romantic. It might be a one-sided romance. Who knows? And yeah, that's where a lot of the strengths of this movie comes in, because there's a lot of ambiguity of what Snow's true purpose is and what he is actually trying to do, because you're always questioning, is he actually trying to help Lucy, or is he just trying to further his status and further his goals? And there's a great complexity there, because I think Tom Blythe, who plays young Snow, does a great job of showing that he might actually care, but his selfishness is outweighing that by a large margin. And it I really like this movie. Um, I just want to say that, but it really does a great job of showing how this guy, he isn't just this clear cut bad guy. He is a human being with flaws, but he just takes that way too far, and eventually he does become that villain that we all know. And I don't want to spoil whatever happens in the movie, but it's just this great back and forth between whose side is he really on. And as I was watching this, I was thinking, man, I think they showed his downfall just a little too fast. And I do think the last 10 minutes, at least, is a little rushed. Especially just the last 10 minutes is rushed because I think they just had to finish it. But that's because in the moments where they kind of showed him falling down, they were outward moments of him like committing acts of violence or something along those lines. But then when you sit and really think about it, it's in Tom Blythe's performance and how he delivers lines and his body language that shows his real intentions and just the inner conflict between him and how he has been this bad guy this entire time. He just tricked us like he has tricked Lucy. And it is such a great performance. I also want to shout out to Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis. Viola Davis plays the game maker, who is just this evil, like, mad scientist lady, and she does a great job just playing evil. You can tell she's having a great time with it. Peter Dinklage plays the person who created the Hunger Games and how he deals with that, and just how he reckons with the idea of he is responsible for the deaths of so many children, not just like people, of children. And is he okay with it? Is he not okay with it? It's a really interesting performance that, I mean, they tell you at the end, but as it goes on, you're questioning whose side is he on too. And he has like this big grudge with Snow, and you're thinking, why does he have that? And when it's revealed, it just makes sense. Um, the supporting cast too around Tom Blythe and Rachel Ziegler are all great. Sejanus, I believe was his name, gives a great performance of someone who is capital but grew up in the districts and is actually advocating for the districts and hates the Hunger Games, but he is forced into a position where, because his dad is high up in the capital, he has to be in the capital, and he reckons with that of, what does that mean for who I am? Am I a bad person too, or can I do something to stop this? And that mixed with Snow and Snow's involvement in Sejanus's development is really interesting. Is very captivating. I'm talking about a lot about the performances, and I guess the story goes hand in hand. But let's talk about the story a bit. It was also just a very good story. It's separated into three chapters. The first chapter mainly follows Snow. The second chapter follows the Hunger Games, and it's this very long, I think like an hour, maybe 50 minutes of just, this is the 10th Hunger Games. Let's watch how it happens. And then the last chapter, which surprised me because I thought the ending was going to be Hunger Games, is after the Hunger Games and how these characters deal with the aftermath and what it means for them now that it's over, and their whole purpose of win or lose, get the prize, not get the prize. How do they deal with the aftermath of that and the repercussions? And I found all three chapters very captivating, especially the third chapter, because that really follows Snow and his downturn, because they really like hinted at it in the first two chapters, and they do a great job showing you, but they really go in this third chapter. And the Hunger Games itself, I wasn't expecting much from it. I thought it would just be like a little 30-minute section, but they gave us a lot. It gave us some really brutal kills. Jason Schwartzman plays a Lucky Flickerman, who I think is like the grandfather of I'm forgetting his Stanley Tucci's character in the originals, and he does a great job. He's the host of the Hunger Games, and he makes some really messed up jokes, and which are funny, but it's like, man, why did you say that? And yeah, the Hunger Games itself, it's brutal. especially when you see like who they put in the Hunger Games. They have someone who is basically already on her deathbed. They put in someone with Down syndrome, someone who has one arm, like people who are clearly at a disadvantage, and yet there's just throwing them in. It shows the ruthlessness of the Capitol and how backwards this all is and how just horrible it all is. I just think it does a great job of showing that this government just does not care for their people. They only care about the elites, and it does make a commentary on that too. Yeah, overall, I really liked this movie. I do think the last 10 minutes were a little rushed. This movie is based on a book, and because of that, it very much reads like a book in the way it's structured, in both good ways and bad. As I watched, I was like, all right, yeah, this feels like I'm watching a book. And in most ways, it is good, but in some ways, it's like, oh, I feel like you could have adapted that differently in the movie version versus the book. Just with some things of how they're structured. I don't want to get too much into it because they can go into like spoiler territory. But yeah, I just overall I really enjoyed this. I would definitely go see this again, even though it's like 2 hours 4 minutes long, and you do kind of feel it, but it's worth it. I think you do feel it for a reason because like especially the Hunger Games segment is so long. But yeah, it, not Sydney Sweeney. Hunter Schafer is also really good in this as Snow's cousin, who was also in the last Hunger Games movie, I believe. Who very different in that movie, but plays someone who is a good person, is trying to bring Snow to the good side, but it's like, man, you can only do so much. I won't say too much more about that because I do encourage everyone to go see it for themselves, to make their own opinion. If I had to give a score, I'd probably give it like an 85 out of 100. I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I encourage you to go out and see it. But have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Are you excited about it? Are you not excited about it? Let me know in the comments. I want to find out. Okay, let's move on to the last topic today, and that is the new Disney animated film, Wish. I saw this the same day I saw Hunger Games. There was an early showing, like fan event type thing, and I was like, sure, I'll go see it. It'll make for a good review. Um, if you've seen any of the trailer talks that I gave for Wish, you know that unlike a lot of people, I was actually looking forward to this. I really liked the art style, even though a lot of people didn't, and I thought it was interesting and it was a cool way to kind of celebrate the Disney like 100th anniversary by having a movie about wishes when so many classic Disney animated films are about wishes and how people would like make wishes and what does that mean for them. So I went to this into this movie excited. And I gotta say, unlike Hunger Games, I was not very impressed. I should have done this first, so Hunger Games could have been like ending on a high note. But yeah, this movie is just okay. I do want to start with the art style because it's something that's been very controversial, but I liked it. I thought it was a cool mix of 2D and 3D animation, and I thought it was something different that Disney usually does. I complain about this all the time that Disney, especially Disney, but Disney and Pixar have had the samey look to their animation for the past like 10 years. And I'm very glad that they're branching out. Now, it may not be the most successful art style that they can do, but it's certainly something new and it's unique. And I liked it. It felt like you're watching this storybook come to life. And so I thought it was very cool. It was very interesting. Um Unfortunately, I don't have like a lot more else to like praise about this movie. I think it's so middle of the road. It's fine. There's just not much to it, you know? Like this, and for one, it's kind of hard not to be cynical about this movie because it is a movie practically celebrating this big corporation's 100 years. And it's like, okay, give yourself a pat on the back. You've been around for 100 years. Cool, moving on. And they even played this like 100th year celebration like promo at the beginning of the movie, which made it even harder not to be cynical. But at one point I even told myself, okay, don't think about that. Think about the people who made this film, because there are people, very creative people, who were dedicated to this, who were not making this for any monetary or cynical reasons. They were making this because they had a reason to, and they had a want and a drive to make it. Just like with every movie, whether it's good or bad. But even then, like, the story is not great. For me, this is a movie of conflicting ideas. It seems like they don't know how they want to portray the characters, the world, the themes. Um, and because of that, it feels very, not even messy, it just feels confused. So you're following this character named, I forget her name. But I'm gonna look it up. But she is not dissatisfied with life. She's fine with life. She's having a good life, and she lives in this kingdom under, I forget all their names, because this movie is kind of forgettable, unfortunately. Um, Asha, you're following Asha, and she lives in the kingdom under Magnifico, played by Chris Pine. Or the Kingdom of Roses, and it's ruled by Magnifico, played by Chris Pine. And their Magnifico is this great king who everyone loves, and whenever they turn 18, they give the king their wish. This like big wish that they have with all their heart's desire. And once they give it to the king, they forget that wish. They forget it ever existed. Because Magnifico believes that it's a great burden to have a wish, especially when you know that it won't come true. And so he wants to take that pain away. And once a month, he'll select one lucky person to grant their wish. To say, hey, you get to have your wish. Congratulations. Go off, explore your dream. And yeah, but the problem with this for me is that a lot of the classic Disney animated movies that they are trying to replicate in this follow a very specific formula where it's someone who's dissatisfied with life in some way. They have their I want song, which is a wish. And then there's trouble along the way. They go on an adventure. There's a very evil villain, and hooray, they save the day. But then with this, it follows this person who's not dissatisfied with life. She's actually like really happy with her life. The kingdom that she lives in are all very happy, even though they've given up their wishes and their heart's desire. And then even the villain, he's not even a villain until halfway through. He's this guy who's like, who believes in what he's doing and thinks he's doing the right thing. And in some ways he is, but he's just misguided. He's a little vain. He's very full of himself. And he's a little he is very controlling when it comes to everyone's wishes. But he has reasoning for it, and the reasoning makes sense. He says, I'm not going to grant everyone's wish because they could be dangerous. They could be perceived in the wrong way. Maybe something is too vague. Maybe something is just too harmful, and I can't risk that for my people. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the hard choices you have to make as a leader. But then that's seen as a bad thing, and in some ways it also is. But he's just this guy who's misguided. And then halfway through, he just goes all in to be evil. And it feels very rushed. And that's because a lot of this movie, especially the first half, is very slow paced. You don't really get a sense of the conflict or anything, just because a lot of it is just like, okay, we're going through the kind of status quo of the movie until halfway through we go to where it probably should have started, to where, oh, we have this problem, we have this tyrannical king and we need to stop him. But at that point it feels too late, and they get into it and it feels so rushed. And part of that is because a lot of the setup set up a very happy kingdom. There's one character who gave up his wish. He's in this like big friend group with Asha, and he's the only one who has turned 18, and he is depressed, he is gloomy, and that's because he gave up this part of himself. But the rest of the village, even though they are the same as this guy, they're happy, they're fine, they gave up their wish. And so later on, when we say, oh yeah, they're actually unhappy, it doesn't make sense. It feels very rushed. It feels like they should have started with that at the very beginning. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm going all over the place with this review. Let me talk about the characters, especially Magnifico, because his characterization is so broad and all over the place. And it's not Chris Pine's fault, it's the writing. Because he goes from this dude who is like genuinely trying to be a good person to immediately becoming this evil tyrannical dictator in the matter of seconds, just after like a very bad meeting with his subjects. It's like, man, that's all it took. Why didn't it take sooner? He also has a backstory that's never explained. I thought we were going to go back to it, but it's not. Um, I even thought at the beginning that he's getting these wishes to get more power, but that's not it. He's just getting these wishes to safeguard them because he truly believes in his cause and what he's doing. And so, yeah, I also think the songs. This is a musical. The songs are very forgettable. I mean, they're fine for what they are, but after you hear them, they're gone. They're out of your head, and that really sucks for a Disney musical. The only two I remember are the ones that were heavily in the marketing, which was the "This Is the Things I Get" and the "I Wish" song. But yeah, this this movie is just very disappointing. I do like the friend group that Asha has. They're all very different from each other. It, the only one I didn't like was the short one because he was just a douche. He sucked. He was so mean to everyone for no reason, and they even like recognize that. But they're like, haha, look, he's a jerk. When it's like, I don't want to be around this guy. Why is he their friend? Um, yeah. So the humor also wasn't there for me. I don't think I laughed at all, except for like maybe one time where it was an unintended laugh. There's even some references to Disney animated projects from the past where it was supposed to be funny, but it just felt like a weird and out of place reference that didn't fit the movie, and it just asked more questions than it should have. And yeah, I also really don't like how a lot of these Disney movies, like recent Disney movies, have been focused more on the world than the characters. Because in a lot, like Encanto, even Moana, but to a lesser extent, like the first song and the very beginning is just setting up this kingdom, this family, this island, instead of setting up who is this character, what are her wants, or what are their wants, what do they want out of life. And because of that, we don't really get a good grasp on the character, and we don't get a good connection with the character. I didn't really feel a connection to Asha because for a long time she's a static character. She doesn't really take action until a good chunk into the movie, and then at that point, like I said, it just felt too late. It felt too rushed because the first half is so slow paced and so all over the place. It makes the second half weak to where we get to the big villain grand finale, and it was like we got here very quickly. And yeah, it feels odd to say it's slow paced, but it's also way too rushed. But that's what you get with this movie. It's way too slow paced until it picks up, and then they don't have any time left, so they have to rush through it all. The character of Star too, who's basically the new toy for this movie. What there was kind of no reason for Star to be in this. They didn't really do much of anything in the movie. They were just there to look cute and to um have some funny shenanigans. But yeah, I really wanted to like this one, and I'm really sad and bummed that I didn't. If I had to give it a score, I'd probably go like a 46 out of 100. It's not the worst thing in the world. There are fun and cute moments, but for the most part, it's just very disappointing. Especially when you have the cast like Chris Pine and Ariana DeBose, who did such a fantastic job in West Side Story. Alan Tudyk plays the goat, the talking goat, and I usually like Alan Tudyk, but in here he was annoying me even. So, yeah, unfortunately, I just didn't have a great time with this. I don't know. Did you see Wish? Did you like it? I hope you liked it a lot more than I did, because I'm kind of being really down on this, and I didn't want to. But yeah. I'm gonna look through my notes again. I believe I said everything I wanted to say. Yeah. So yeah, have you seen the film? Have you not seen the film? Are you excited? Are you not excited based on what I said? Let me know in the comments down below if you are watching on YouTube. And once again, thank you for watching. This is That's a Wrap. It's a show that I do by myself now. Um, this is maybe the 60th episode, so there's 60 other episodes you can go watch and enjoy. I've recently been doing video. I'm really liking it so far. Yeah, you can follow me at That's a Wrap NCR on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I don't post that much on Instagram and Twitter because not a lot of people pay attention to it, but the moment someone subscribes or follows is the moment I start making posts again. But yeah. So that's this week's episode. Next week, I will be most likely reviewing Napoleon. I might be getting in a Saltburn review. There's a new Netflix Adam Sandler movie, Leo. I might check that out. So it might be another multi review next week, but I will for sure be doing Napoleon because I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I'm recording this on a Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. So if you celebrate, happy Thanksgiving. If you don't, if you're around the world, have a great day. But until next time, that's a wrap.